Christmas and happy holidays, everyone. I'm Wackaroni, and this is going to be another Wack Reviews. So welcome back to Wack Reviews. We're going to talk about a movie, and I still am enjoying all of the MCU movies, doing them in order of release. Today I'm going to be reviewing Ant-Man and the Wasp. This will be a spoiler review. There will be spoilers. I'm going to go fairly in-depth into the story, and I'm going to tell you things that happen. I'm going to tell you the ending, and then when I'm done, I'll give you my thoughts and opinions, and there will be some goofy bloopers and stuff. So don't forget to stick around for the goofy bloopers and stuff. I love showing you guys all the goofs. So Ant-Man and the Wasp starts out with a flashback to when Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas are leaving their daughter to go on a mission. They are de-aged. There's de-aging happening. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good de-aging, actually. They sort of explained it a little bit in the first Ant-Man movie, but Janet Van Dyne was Michelle Pfeiffer's character, and Michael Douglas used to be the original. He's Hank Pym. He was the original Ant-Man. And so we see the scene where they're going on this mission. They're trying to stop a missile from blowing up someplace. I don't think they say where it is, but the only way to get into the missile, because the lead is too thick or something, the only way to do it is to shrink down beyond the molecules. They got Pym particles. They can shrink and whatnot, but it's dangerous to go too small. But the only way to stop the missile is to go too small. Michael Douglas's character cannot do that because his shit is broken. So Janet Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer, has to do it anyway. So she goes down and she ends up in the quantum realm that they know very little about. Scott Lang is Paul Rudd's character, and somehow he was able to do it. So they think that since he did it, there might be a way to save his wife, Janet Van Dyne. After they show that flashback, where we go back to the present day, and Paul Rudd's character, Scott Lang, is the new Ant-Man. He's the one that has been Ant-Man for a little while, and he is on house arrest because he stole one of the Ant-Man suits and went to help the Avengers, or half of the Avengers, fight the other half of the Avengers in Civil War. So this movie takes place a little bit after Civil War. Scott Lang starts getting these weird visions from the perspective of Janet Van Dyne. He starts seeing these things from the past, from her perspective. So he calls up Hank Pym, and he's like, "I'm sorry I did what I did. I'm sorry I stole the suit. I'm seeing weird visions of, like from your wife or something. I need your help. I need to figure out what it is." Hope Van Dyne, which is the daughter of Hank Pym and Janet, kidnaps Scott Lang, and they go in a little tiny car, and they go to a place. She's like, "As soon as we opened the quantum realm for a split second, you started hearing and seeing visions and stuff, so we need to know what's going on. That might be related or something." Hope has put his house arrest ankle bracelet on one of the giant ants. I forget what they called that one, but it's sort of their pet now, the giant ant, and it's going about doing his everyday routine, so people that are watching him think that he's still doing his regular stuff in his house. Hank Pym and Janet are building a machine that will send them to the quantum realm to try and save the wife and mother, Janet Van Dyne, from the quantum realm. She's been trapped in there for quite a while. I'm not exactly sure how long. Paul Rudd's character, Scott Lang, is taken to this building where they have their lab where they're building the thing, and there's a bunch of ants, giant ants, roaming around helping them build the thing. They have to make it portable, so they take the whole building and they shrink it, and then they shrink the car. They're just doing this in public. They're shrinking things in public, which is kind of ridiculous. I don't think you get away with that kind of stuff. Somebody's gonna see you shrinking and becoming big. Somebody's gonna notice. And I got a lot of weird questions about how some of this stuff works, but it's movie magic, it's quantum, it's whatever. So you don't question too much of the laws of physics in this movie. If they've made the ants large in a regular sized building, and then they make the building small, do those ants become regular ant sized? In order to build this quantum machine that they're trying to build, they have to go meet this guy. He's a shady guy, and it's Walton Goggins. I kind of like that actor. And he's this shady businessman, and they need this piece of machinery that he's trying to sell them. But he's like, I've been learning about y'all, and I think you're building a thing, and you're not being completely honest with me. So I'm gonna keep your money here, and unless you work with me to make more money from other people or something. Hope Van Dyne is like, nah, man, this wasn't the agreement. So I'll see you in a minute. She comes back as the Wasp and just starts wasping them up. She's beating the shit out of these guys. This tiny little wasp lady, and she's wasping them. But unlike Ant-Man, she has wings. She can fly, and she has blasters. There's a fun scene in the kitchen where like some of the goons are trying to kill her, but she's tiny. She's getting big and tiny, and she's beating them up, and they're like throwing knives at her and trying to chop her and stuff, and she's just doing cool things. She takes some salt shaker and makes it big, and some guy hits his head. It's kind of silly, because shrinking is silly. But as she is taking the machine piece that she needs, a weird phasing person shows up. They're in this weird suit, and they're sort of, I say phasing because they're kind of coming in and out of reality, and like you can't really touch them. You can punch through them, but you can't be touched because they're phasing through reality. They're vanishing, if you will. They call this vanishing phasing person Ghost, and Ghost manages to get the lab and the machine piece and get away with it. But then we see in a different scene that Ghost is there's something wrong with her. She needs a special chamber in order to be okay. I guess because the phasing is messing them up. We don't really know at this point. In order to figure out where to find the lab, they go and meet with Lawrence Fishburne, who was an associate of Hank Pym. And Lawrence Fishburne was part of a project called Goliath. And in the comics, Goliath was another character who could get big and small, I guess, or maybe just big. They had a falling out. Hank Pym and this guy, I forget his name at the moment, but they had a falling out. They kind of don't like each other, but Lawrence Fishburne's character is able to give them some good information of how to track down the lab. For some reason, they need to find the old Ant-Man suit that Scott said that he destroyed, but he didn't. They use the new suit to go find the old suit, and they need to be covert to go into this school because Scott Lang's daughter had taken the Ant-Man suit. It was hidden in something that Scott Lang's daughter took to show and tell, and they have to sneak in there, but the new suit is janky. It's a work in progress, so he'll accidentally grow, he'll accidentally shrink into different sizes, and it's comedic, it's silly. They find the lab, and Ghost is there, and Ghost attacks them and then takes them prisoner, and then Lawrence Fishburne's character shows up, and we find that they've been working together, because in the past, Hank screwed something up and caused Ghost to be that way, where she's phasing in and out of the world because she was exposed to like an explosion of the quantum realm when her father was trying to work on something with Hank Pym, but he screwed up. So Ghost got all quantumed up, and now she's phasing in and out of reality. She's dying, basically. If this keeps up, she's going to die because she can't control the phasing in and out of things. Ghost mentions that her dad was Elias Starr, and I may be wrong, but I think Elias Starr was Egghead in the old Ant-Man comics, like one of the old Ant-Man villains. So some of the goons, some of the villain characters, go and find his associates, Scott Lang's associates, Michael Pena, and the other goofy guys. And there's another silly scene like they did in the first Ant-Man where Michael Pena's character does he does like a voiceover, like telling people about what happened in the past, because the goons gave him some sort of truth serum, and he's trying to trying to explain a lot of different things. So there's a funny a funny scene where he's explaining things, but you're seeing like what what he's saying come out of other characters' mouth, and it's silly and it's fun. He's like, okay, well actually Scott and Hope, they were doing this thing, and then they go back and they're like, oh yeah, that's my lady, that's that's Hope. And she was trying to do a thing, and Scott was like, oh, I don't know how to do a thing, but then they did the thing. They get the part they need for the quantum realm machine. They open up the quantum realm. It's not quite working, but they open it up just enough for Scott Lang to be possessed by Janet Van Dyne again. So now he's helping them do the machine, but he's doing it from Janet's perspective, and it has taken over Paul Rudd's body. And so it's a really silly scene where he's just like, okay, thank you there, Peanut. I'm going to try to fix some of these things that you did. That's a bad impression, but that's sort of what happens. So when the possession from Michelle Pfeiffer's Janet Van Dyne wears off, they realize they have what they need, the information to find her in the quantum realm. There's a limited time for them to go and save her. In the real world, the feds have found where the lab is. So Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne have been arrested, but Scott Lang is able to free them with the use of a bunch of ants, of course. And then they have to go find where the lab has gone now. Somehow Hank Pym has found a way to recruit wasps to help them find the way. So there's a bunch of wasps that are just like creating arrows showing them where to go and stuff. They find the lab. Hank goes into the lab. Meanwhile, it's sort of a distraction. Scott Lang, as Ant-Man, has to fight Ghost. Ghost shows up, and she's trying not to die because of the quantum stuff. But they get in this big, interesting fight. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it when there's two characters that have different abilities. Like, Ant-Man and the Wasp can go big and small and whatnot. But Ghost can, like, phase in and out also, so they can't really mess with each other all that much. The Ant-Man suit that they're using still kind of sucks. That's one of the comedic things that they do is, like, the suit will get big sometimes it won't work, sometimes it'll be small. There's a car chase, and I kept thinking the two times that I've seen this movie, the car, when it becomes tiny, it shouldn't be as fast as a regular car. That doesn't really make sense, but they sort of make it make sense in this movie. I mean, they don't, but they pretend that it's supposed to make sense. Whatever. We get a Stan Lee cameo where his car shrinks, and he's like, man, I shouldn't have done that stuff from the 70s or something. Like, he's implying that he's having an acid flashback or something when he did drugs in the 70s. He says the 70s were great, but now I'm paying for it. R.I.P. Stanley. During the car chase thing, somebody throws out a little Hello Kitty Pez dispenser, and they make it big, so it, like, blocks the people that are trying to, follow them. And they're being really crazy with the little building, the lab, because like I said before, if you make the thing small, doesn't everything in there still exist? So, like, if you're tossing this little tiny building around to different people, wouldn't everything get all, like, crazy and, like, shaken around or something? Let's not ask questions. There's a funny moment where Scott Lang is trying to, he's like, come, I need an ant. I need an ant to fly or do something with. And the ants keep coming, but there's a bunch of seagulls because he's, like, on the beach. So every time he calls an ant, it keeps getting, like, picked up and eaten by, like, a seagull. And it happens a few times, and that's pretty funny. Ant-Man is able to do the giant man thing and get the the little building thing, but it also, like, messes him up because you're not supposed to go super large like that. When Hank Pym reaches the quantum realm, it starts to mess with his head, and so he sort of passes out. But Janet finds him in the quantum realm. Janet Van Dyne finds him, and they reunite. And she has nice makeup on, which makes me wonder, where do you find nice makeup in the quantum realm? The quantum realm has changed her somehow, so she's able to, like, touch Hank Pym's head and, like, get his head back to normal, because the quantum realm changes you, and now she has quantum realm magic hands or something. Scott Lang passes out from being Giant Man. Hope has to go underwater to save him, because he's passed out, and now he's small and she's got to find him underwater, but she does it, so that's cool. There's another fight with the Ghost character, which is fairly interesting. But as they're coming out of the quantum realm, Ghost is still attacking, but Janet is able to help Ghost, because Ghost has the quantum disease or whatever the hell. But she uses her magic quantum fingers to fix Ghost, and make her a regular person again. Since Scott Lang is on house arrest, he's not supposed to be doing anything. So he tricks them by putting the suit, the Ant-Man suit, but it's giant, on the side of a building. So aha, we got you. But it's an empty suit. And I thought that was a missed opportunity, because earlier in the movie, Michael Pena was like, I really wish I had one of those suits. I wish I could do anything with any of what you guys are doing. And I thought that would have been a good moment to have Michael Pena, in the suit as the distraction or something. But it was just an empty suit. I feel like that was a missed opportunity. It's just me. There's some good touching moments with a lot of the characters and reuniting and whatnot. But Scott Lang still has to get back to his house, because he knows that the police guys are coming back to the house to make sure that he's there, and he manages to get there just in time to trick them into thinking he was there the whole time. Hank Pym and Janet have taken their house, shrunken it, moved it to some beach, made it big, and that's where they're going to live from now on some beach somewhere. And then they do a fun little, pretending they're doing a drive-in movie with their daughter, but really it's just a regular a phone or something, a small screen, but they're tiny, and they're watching a drive-in movie on a tiny thing, because it's Ant-Man, I guess. During the credits, there's a really fun scene with a bunch of miniatures. They've created a bunch of little tiny miniature sets and characters and whatnot, and it's really fun. I love miniatures and goofy shit like that. There's a mid-credits scene where Scott is going into the quantum realm to absorb the quantum energy into a thing they've created. So he goes in while Janet Van Dyne and Hank Pym are outside of that, trying to watch what he's doing and bring him back out, but they're not able to get him back out, because this happens right when Thanos does his snap thing. So they become dust. We see Hank and Janet become dust, and Scott is stuck in the quantum realm because nobody can bring him back out. And the after credits, post-credits scene is just the big ant, their big ant pet, playing the drums, and it's just it's a big goofy nothing scene. And that was Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think it's pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more on the second watch. There's a lot of quantum stuff. So it's you could just explain things away by just saying it's quantum stuff. And so it doesn't, the physics don't make sense. A lot of it doesn't really make sense. But whatever, it's quantum. Who fucking cares? Everything was pretty fun. Paul Rudd's always fun. Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Evangeline Lilly, I believe, is Hope Van Dyne as the Wasp. And they all do a good job. The soundtrack seems nice. Everything's good. The CG is really good. Everything seems nice. I enjoy it all. And it's just pretty fun. Overall, it's a pretty fun movie. Try not to ask too many questions. Just embrace the quantumness. So anyway, that's it for this review. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave me a comment if you'd like. I enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. Stay warm. Have some fun with your family and your friends, whatever you can do. And, just have a good time.
It's just the ghost of what you want to be, and the ghost of the past that you live in.
And by the way, I know that I have a split lip. This time of year, with the weather the way it is, it always happens. I'm pretty sure that split in the lip was happening last year. And I think it was the Doctor Strange review that I did with the big Christmas tree in the background. And by the way, don't think I don't know that I got a split lip. Did you notice? A split lip? Split my lip in 2 pieces. This is a fucking big fat split. Split a little hip. This isn't abnormal. This is just something that happens this time of year, apparently. So anyway, I'll catch you next time on the next thing. Peace out, y'all. By the way, I stopped smoking cigarettes about 3 months ago, and I am currently using vapes to do that instead. Ant-Man and the Wasp. This will be a non... that was hidden. So Michelle Pfeiffer... Michelle Pfeiffer goes west. American Tail. A Quantum Tale. And,